What's up, everybody? This is Jeff with the Elite Outdoors. Tonight I'm going to be running through an arrow build, basically start to finish, from a bare shaft to a finished arrow ready to shoot. These are going to be my hunting arrows, so they're going to be fairly heavy, but yeah, I'm just going to show you how I do it. Maybe it'll help some people out. So starting off, we got my arrow saw here. It is a T-Bird archery arrow saw. Picked it up on Amazon fairly cheap. It's a nice little piece. We got my Pine Ridge spinner. I'll be shooting the Black Eagle Rampage 250 spine with AAE Max Stealth Vane. Tooth of the arrow, 125 grain head. These are the 56 grain outserts that come with the arrows. Standard knock. This is the AAE Max adhesion kit that I'm going to be using with the vanes. Some Easton insert glue, random cleaning products, and my Bitzenburger jig. So let's get started. Alright, now I've already spun these arrows on the Pine Ridge spinner. This arrow saw does come with a spinner attached to it, but I don't feel like the wheels move as freely, and I just feel like this spinner works better, so I like using it. What I'm going to do is actually cut a little bit of arrow off the front and the back of this arrow to help kind of get a little bit straighter arrow. You know, some people don't like doing that because the labels is gonna be different on each arrow. If you cut some on the back, some on the front, some on both. But for a hunting arrow, I don't really mind. So let's get started. This is a 32-inch full-length arrow. I'm shooting 29.5-inch draw, so I shoot a 28.5-inch arrow. I like to leave the broadhead just in front of the riser. I don't want it behind my hand. I don't want the arrow too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 inches off the back of the arrow and 1.5 inches off the front. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I've already set this. It doesn't have to be super precise on this first cut, but on the second one you want it to be to your whatever your draw or your arrow length you want is. So alright, so now this is a already cut arrow that I have. This is one of my hunting arrows from last year. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to cut. I'm going to move the stop here so that it lines up exactly with the front of this arrow so that I'm cutting it the same length. So basically what I'm going to do is just butt this arrow up against the blade of the saw, move this in, snap it into place, and that's my distance. So I cut the first cut off the back of the arrow, so I'm going to cut the front of the arrow on this one. I cut the back of the arrow off first, so now I can put that knock in. and that way I'll have the same length as what I'm measuring off of. Pretty good. All right. Get rid of the saw. All right. Now what I like to do is to square both ends of this arrow. Just so you know you have, obviously squared ends on each side for where your insert lines up and where your knock lines up. So I've got on this Pine Ridge spinner, I've got a small piece of aluminum that I've covered in sandpaper. So I just stick this arrow shaft on the spinner, butt this piece up against it, just give it a few spins and it'll square that end off pretty good. I gotta make sure I've got it on there just right. Do the other end. Try to clean some of that stuff out of the end of the arrows. I'll not worry too much about the knock end of it, but the insert end, you want to really make sure you've got clean. All right. Next, I'm going to fletch them up. Well, yeah, let's glue the insert in first. How about that? Ooh. Time for some new insert glue. All right, now to clean up the inside of the shaft so that I can put the insert in, I just take a Q-tip and some 91% alcohol, slide it in there and just really clean that up. That way that glue really bonds to the inside of that arrow shaft. You'd probably even, if you really wanted to, get a small round file, maybe scuff that up a little bit, but I don't worry too much about that. All right, so we're going to take our insert and some glue. You don't have to go crazy with the glue, but you want enough to go all the way around the insert. put it in there and give it a little twist as I'm putting it in, just to make sure it adheres all the way around. Leave it out just a little bit, wipe off some excess. And send it home. Wipe off the excess again. Now, I like using this insert glue because I've used like Gorilla Glue before and it sets up really fast. Oh. But that it's not really going to focus on there. But that Easton glue, they say you can shoot with it in about, I think, 20 to 30 minutes. So it sets up quick enough that you're not have to let it sit overnight or anything, but it's not so fast that you can't even get the insert in, because I've had that happen before with super glue, where you stick it in halfway, go to wipe some glue off, and it's already stuck. So it gives you enough time to do what you need to do and not set up on you. Alright, so I'm using the Bitzenburger jig. It's got a right helical clamp. In all honesty, I probably should just be using a straight clamp, but you know, that's what I got. So I got a couple marks on here where I like to set the back of my arrow. So this AAE kit comes with these Max Clean wipes. So these are for cleaning the arrow off. And then you've got your Maxwell primer pen. That's for the vanes themselves. And then the Max Bond glue. I've used alcohol wipes before, or not wipes, but just using the 91% alcohol on a paper towel and clean shafts off, and then use Gorilla Glue gel on the veins, and I've had pretty good luck with that. Never really had an issue, but I just decided to give this a try this time and we'll see how it goes. So we'll clean that off real well. Try not to touch it after cleaning it. Stick that back in there. Alright. Alright, take our primer. Kind of have to prime the felt tip a little bit on it. Oh, there it goes. Let that dry. I'm doing a 4-fletch configuration on here. I'm hoping with these longer, lower profile vanes in a 4-fletch, you'll be able to steer that big 4-blade head I've got pretty well. So What I like to do is I'll just pretty much fill this valley with glue. All the way from the front, or from the back to the front. And I'll actually take it and wipe my finger down so that it's even all the way through, and you don't have too much, because having too much glue on there can be just as bad as not having enough. Alright, so we'll give that a minute or so. Like I said, this is the first time I've used this AAE glue, so I'm not 100% sure how much time I should give it. A lot of times using the Gorilla Glue gel, I can give it maybe 30 seconds or so and then take it off, but I really have no idea with these. I've got this set at a little bit of an offset. I don't know exactly how much, but I'm hoping that it gives it a good amount of steering. Okay. And then after that, I like to, if there is any excess, that's what I got these Q-tips for. I'll just run it from the back to the front, up the side of the air, or up the side of the vein. Get any excess off of there. Alright, we'll move on to the next one. Just do this. For all of them. Go ahead and prime these other ones while I'm waiting. can even get some excess off while the clamp is still on there. That way you don't have to worry about possibly knocking that fletching off course a little bit. Yeah, I've this Max Bond kit is actually pretty cool. You can actually use it on any arrow or any vein. I've never really had a problem with the AAE veins. Some people say that you have to have this kit for the AAEs. I've used the alcohol wipes or alcohol and paper towels with that Gorilla Glue, and never really had an issue with it. But this does seem to be a little. This glue is a little cleaner than that Gorilla Glue, because that gel, I feel like it can kind of clump up a little bit, and this glue here is pretty nice. So we'll see. And I usually I'll do wraps on my arrows. That way, if I do run into a situation where, like, the arrow doesn't fly very well, or they're not grouping very well, then all you gotta do is zip that wrap off of there, and all the fletchings come off. You're not sitting there cleaning glue off of carbon, where you could possibly nick the carbon shaft or anything like that. So I usually run wraps on mine, but this time I didn't. So we'll see how it goes. Just put the fourth one on there, so. Got a little more offset than I thought they were going to have, but that's all right. We'll see how they fly. Yeah, those have a little bit more offset than I had imagined they would, but I might need it with these tooth of the arrow broadheads. So there it is. See how they spin. Very nice. I like it. And also what I'll do at the end is just take a little dab of glue and put them on the front of the veins here, and then also on the back, just to kind of protect it and help, make sure nothing gets underneath there if they go through the target, or if they go through an animal. You're not ripping veins off of there real easily. So appreciate you watching, and happy hunting.